Hello and welcome to Development Purgatory.
This is the podcast all about the movies that were never made, the scripts that were never written, and the ideas that never even made it to the page. My name is Daniel Kaka.
And I'm Lexcee Riley.
Ooh, this is going to be a big one. A big daddy, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Would you kindly tell me your experience with BioShock?
Okay, so my experience with BioShock is that we had a mutual friend who was like, you need to read Atlas Shrugged and then play BioShock, which I did. BioShock as a game is probably my favorite game I've ever played. I've only finished one. I was into part of 2 and then didn't have a roommate with a console anymore. But BioShock is my secret stay up late, headphones on, spooky game by myself. It is very stylized to my aesthetic, I would say. Yeah, it has like a horror element to it. So I'm not a big video gamer. I think I've played 2, maybe 3 video games all the way through.
And we just happened to hit the one that you just happened to play before.
I played Mass Effect, which I believe they also tried to make a movie of at some point.
I am kind of also in the same boat. I will say that this is not one of the games that I have played before. I think the game that I really enjoyed the most is Portal. And I know that was supposed to be turned into a movie, but that did not happen as well.
Portal's the one that you and said other roommate played where you were the little robot guy?
You're either the robot, or if you're a single player, then you're the human character in it.
You also played Borderlands.
Yep. Also played Borderlands too.
And you played the robot both times.
No, Claptrap is just a companion.
Portal's the one where you shoot the portal and you jump through it to go. Okay.
Yep.
So by association, I know of 4 video games.
Yeah. As for BioShock, it was one of those games that I was just aware of. I knew a lot of people who did play it. I know Amber is a big fan of BioShock. In fact, that's where she got her name from. That's how much she loves the game. While I was doing the research, it kind of inspired her to revisit the game, and I started playing the game as well. But as far as my past experience goes, it is actually not as
this is going to be a really fun episode because you did the research, but I have the base knowledge.
Yeah.
Which is very rare that we get to do this way.
Yeah, let's get into this research. But before we do, would you kindly listen to these advertisements? Welcome back.
To the Rapture.
To the Rapture.
I also haven't played the game, let's be clear, in 6 years.
I think a lot of it will come back to you.
As we were briefly setting up, it was starting to come back and I'm very itchy to play it again. Or at least maybe finish the trilogy.
Yeah. I will say, and I do want to put a disclaimer right up front because I know a lot of people see BioShock. Well, I mean, there's explicit stuff in there, but...
Oh, not that, no.
That's not what I was going to bring up. I will say that this episode is solely going to be about the first game. We're not going to go into the sequels. We're not going to talk about the development hell that BioShock 4 is currently in right now. Simply because there was just so much in this episode.
That's an entire season. We could just do a BioShock season.
That is a different episode, which we might do down the line about BioShock 4 and just what's happening there. But as far as this episode goes, it is simply about the first BioShock and the BioShock movie that nearly came out. So that's really all that we're covering. Let's get into it.
Let's take the submarine down.
The bathysphere.
Oh, right. I'm not going to remember any of the specific names. I'm just going to be like, you punch, you shoot, the needle goes in your arm with the stuff.
It's fine. To talk about BioShock, we need to talk about the game's creator and director, Ken Levine. Levine, like many of us, moved to Los Angeles in the early 90s to pursue a career in the film industry as a screenwriter. He had an agent and a vampire script that he was trying to pitch, but with little success.
Don't we all?
He did get hired by Paramount after reading his script, but it was to write another movie. It was a project called Devil's Advocate. No, it is not the one with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, I got so excited.
The story was about, quote, a devil who comes to Earth to corrupt an incorruptible human to star in the movie was Amy Grant.
Wow, the 90s are just wild.
Uh-huh.
Who I only instantly remembered because we had her Christmas album in my house. She was the queen of Christmas before Mariah took over.
Yeah. I know that she's a big Christian pop artist, and then she got a divorce, and everyone in the Christian community was like, how dare she? The film never got made because of how bad it was, and he knew it was, stating in a Destructoid interview that it was, quote, fucking terrible.
Oh. He said that about his own work?
Yes.
Honest man.
Mm-hmm. While he struggled to find work, Levine would escape into comic books and video games. In fact, he used his paycheck from Devil's Advocate to buy himself a Sega Master System. He focused more and more on video games, and it consumed his life more than anything else. He had a revelation that there are people out there that not only make video games, but they get paid to make them. So he picked up a copy of Next Gen magazine, and he flipped to the back to find job listings in the gaming industry. One of the listings was for a game designer for Looking Glass Studios. He applied, and a month later, he got a call from the recruiter. So Ken flew from LA to their studio in Boston. When he entered the studio, he immediately felt like he was where he belonged. So Looking Glass Studios was previously known as Looking Glass Technology when it was founded in 1990. The company was known for its true 3D graphics, meaning that you can move through a map in a 3D manner, unlike a 2D platform. The studio was known for their innovative games, such as Ultima Underworld and System Shock. When Ken Levine was hired, his first project was to work on Thief, the Dark Project, as a writer and a game designer. He took inspirations from his favorite games, Castle Wolfenstein and Diablo. The game started off as a first-person sword simulator. Ken came up with the idea that this should be a game where you're a lone CIA agent having to take down a zombie-riddled Soviet Union. And the only way to take them down is with swords, since bullets are ineffective on zombies. They originally wanted the name of the game to be Better Red Than Undead.
Wow.
The game later evolved into a stealth game in a fantasy medieval world where you're a master thief, part of a secret society, tasked to take on a series of robberies. The character is then caught up in a complex plot where you need to prevent great power from being unleashed onto the world. In 1997, along with two other co-workers, Jonathan Shea and Robert Fermier, they left Looking Glass and they founded their own video game studios, Irrational Games.
Great title.
Mm-hmm. Looking Glass at the time was not doing well after the failure of Terra Nova and British Open Championship Golf. It was acquired by a private equity firm, Intermetrics. It wasn't just the three of them, but multiple people had left once they were bought out, and the company soon would be defunct 3 years later. The first game Irrational Games was to work on was System Shock 2, a sequel to the Looking Glass game.
What is it like to be afraid?
Many of the elements of System Shock seem to have planted the seed for what would eventually become BioShock. The isolated character in a horror environment, listening to audio logs that would help further the story.
Oh.
You start with a wrench as your first weapon, the possessed enemies, and there's a Black Ops psionic amplifier. So basically it's like a dark ball that is wired into your wrist, and it creates different psi powers.
Sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm. Despite the game being critically acclaimed, it was a financial failure. Jonathan and Robert left to work for different studios, and Levine stayed behind to develop a few new games. Unfortunately, a few of the games he came up with did not see the light of day, including Dungeon Duel, which was a real-time strategy game in a fantasy world. There was The Lost, a monster survival game based on Dante's Inferno. And then there was Monster Island, which was a destruction game where you would play as a kaiju or a villager who fights back.
Fun.
The next game that would actually be released by Irrational was Freedom Force. It was an RPG where you played as superheroes to protect Patriot City. The team would continue to produce the games Tribes Vengeance, Freedom Force versus the Third Reich, SWAT 4, and SWAT 4, the Sketch-Off Syndicate, before they were acquired by 2K Games in 2006. So let's go back just a little bit to 2002. Ken pitched this idea for a sequel to System Shock 2 to EA. EA was originally the publisher of System Shock 2, but EA had declined the pitch because of the financial failure of the game, so in no way did they want to repeat that. Instead of throwing away the game, Ken put together a new team to start a new game, but using the elements that they had brainstormed for System Shock 3. The game that they were working on, this was named BioShock. The team came up with 3 core gameplay mechanics. Drones that would carry a desirable resource, protectors that would guard those drones, and harvesters that would attempt to take the resource from those drones. Down the line, we would know them to evolve into the Little Sisters, Big Daddies, and Splicers. The game was set on a space station taken over by mutants. Ugh. You would play the main character, Carlos Celo, a cult deprogrammer who has been hired by the senator to deal with the situation. The look of the game in its early stages was still pretty dull. Jonathan Che, one of Irrational's co-founders, he stated, quote, "There was a period of time where the levels looked like a typical gray industrial space corridors, and the opponents were the usual mutated monsters that you'd fought 100 times before. Irrational had trouble finding a publisher for the game, most likely due to the game's political undertone and bland look. In 2004, 2K Games, which is a subsidiary of Take-Two Interactive, they agreed to publish the game based on the 3 mechanics, the drone, the protector, and the harvester concept. By this time, the game had shifted its settings to an abandoned World War II era Nazi laboratory.
Oh my god.
That had been discovered by scientists in the 21st century. They did develop some gameplay elements like weapon upgrades, stealth to avoid enemies, and plasmids.
Yeah.
Over time, they would change the setting from the Nazi lab to the underground city of Rapture.
Yeah. Welcome to Rapture.
In 2006, 2K Games acquired Irrational Games. 2K went from distributing the game to now becoming the studio responsible for creating the game. And the budget had increased significantly to $25 million.
Woo!
Yeah. I was trying to find what the budget was.
The OG budget?
Yeah, it didn't really seem like they had an established budget.
It's going through too many rounds. It's in such a deep part of development that it's not greenlit enough to have a budget.
No, and this is Ken Levine. He is basically the head of the studio, and they're just like, well, we're just going to make a bunch of games, and whatever gets done, and we're just going to sell it to whoever the top bidder is.
We're in 2004 still, too, which is a very different time for video games than it is.
To give like an indicator of how much this grew, the team that was putting together BioShock originally was only 6. The team was now 60.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it going from like a gray background to what we know the game to be, like that needed a team.
Yeah. Now you would think this would help the situation, but for Ken Levine, this was his nightmare. Jean-Paul LeBrighton, one of BioShock's level designers, did notice that there seemed to be a disconnect between the design and the art team with the original Irrational team, which, after being acquired by 2K and hiring the artist Hoagie de la Plante, Hoagie was able to bridge that divide. His first project he worked on was the Tea Garden, and Levine loved their work so much he showed it off to the entire studio as an example of BioShock's look. Something that Levine and the team tried to avoid as much as possible was the cyberpunk tropes.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That might also be why I like the game so much, is that it has its own feel. It really does feel like an art piece at some moments.
It really does.
So I know that it is technically Art Deco, but there's also like a mid-century feel to it. Like, it's a very pretty game.
Yeah.
I've died many a time just looking at things.
It's kind of like this idea of like high tech with low technology.
It's all the things of steampunk that I really enjoy without, because most times steampunk is like brown and grungy, and like I get why from a scientific perspective, but when you add the water element to BioShock mixed with all of that technology, you get this complementary color thing happening, which becomes very pretty to look at.
Yeah. You are not dealing with the sunlight, which is interesting. You're dealing with the lights that have to be put down in the city, and a lot of times those lights are like
or
neon
lack
lights.
of light.
LeBrighton, he did claim in an interview with Eurogamer that he was the one that came up with the mind control aspect of the game, drawing inspiration from the Manchurian Candidate. Levine at first came up with the word Excelsior to trigger the mind control, and later changed it to Ciro Maiori, which is Latin for I yield to a greater person. When Levine was writing the game's tagline, would you kill people, even innocent people, to survive? This inspired him to change the trigger phrase to would you kindly.
Yeah.
Would you kindly? Powerful phrase. Familiar phrase.
I will say that, like, of all the literary inspiration, the only one that I could find was The Manchurian Candidate.
That's crazy.
I've heard before, and I want you to elaborate on this. I've seen the claims that this game draws a lot from...
Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, I was going to say like Ayn Rand.
To me, after reading the book and playing the game, there's no denying it.
Okay. I would imagine that Ken Levine, being a writer, would have read Ayn Rand at some point, and it's very possible that someone on the team may have read Ayn Rand. It was like, and just started like interjecting the ideas without even realizing it. That is my suspicion, but a lot of people have noticed the similarities between Atlas Shrugged and BioShock.
But there's the one, Andrew Ryan and Ayn Rand do not feel that different.
I can see that, yeah.
There's a phrase in the game that's like, who is so-and-so? And I can't remember it right now. But in Atlas Shrugged, who is John Galt is mentioned ad nauseum in the same way that phrase pops up in the game. And the symbolism of a lot of the icons in the game. There's also a movie for Atlas Shrugged. The order of operations for me was that I read like half of the book, started BioShock, finished the book, and then watched the movie. And so I don't know if this is a chicken or egg situation, but a lot of the Art Deco iconography in the book very much matches the game. And then once we get to the movie, like some prop master somewhere, like there's no denying any of it. I did not enjoy Atlas Shrugged. But Atlas Shrugged is very much about this place that is created so that the better off, the smart people, the rich people can go to. It's in like the hull of a mountain. So also, if anybody has watched Paradise, I sometimes feel like Paradise feels a little bit like it is pulling some inspiration from Atlas Shrugged. But when you are playing BioShock, it is built to be this place where the better people go. The better people. I'm giving air quotes to that. That is the plot of Atlas Shrugged. Is that we only want the best of society to live in this tiny little haven. So like to me, that is the plot of BioShock to an extent. I prefer BioShock to Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged kind of is like, this is the best way to move forward, is to put all the best people together. And at least with BioShock, to me, it's like a course correction of like, hey, that's a little culty.
Yeah, it is.
So like BioShock to me feels almost like not a full sequel, but like a epilogue of sorts to Atlas Shrugged.
Interesting.
There's no argument that that was not a massive influence.
Okay. I want to circle back on this after we go through the script and see how your view changes on that.
Cool. And we will circle back after these advertisements.
We're back, continuing all about the history of...
Ayn Rand.
Well, BioShock. Here's the thing about the production. Not everything went as smoothly as we thought.
What? Production always goes so smooth.
In a tell-all article from Eurogamer, Rapture leaked the true story behind the making of BioShock. The team was creating a demo for Game Informer magazine. LeBrayton stated, quote, "The pressure was on to create something that would impress, and our deadline was looming. In a level review, there was some discussion on how an AI should be presented in the short demo. Someone mentioned System Shock's 2 invasive cyborg ninjas as a reference point. Ken threw his glasses down and yelled, 'I don't want to hear anything about those fucking cyborg ninjas.' Paul Helquist, the lead level designer, tried to cool down the tension, and Levine immediately yelled at him to shut up. Levine started to seem distrustful of everyone that worked for him, and it seemed like the pressure was really getting to him. And even Levine has admitted this in articles, and other people that have worked with him, is like, he's not someone who is a leader or is like that type of person.
It's good to know about yourself.
And he has just kind of been forced a lot into these situations where he's just kind of the ideas guy. He is the creative type. But as far as like leading a team, that's really not for him.
Fair enough.
Yeah. 2K would step in with their ideas and make the game more marketable. And at this time, in 2006, Halo was the dominant game in the market. And because Halo was a first-person shooter, they pushed to make the game a first-person shooter as well to appeal to that audience.
First-person plasmid Jack.
I mean, you got the plasmids, but you have a series of guns as well when you're playing the game.
Oh, so fun story.
Yeah.
I suck at shooting in games. So you're correct. There are guns.
Yeah.
Do you know that I do not use them? I suck at it.
Yeah.
In that game in particular, it is very hard to shoot. The splicers move in a way that were not good for Lexie's brain. So it was just better to be like, magic hands.
I will say, in defense of you not wanting to use guns, because I experienced this too. Using guns are very difficult in the game, especially if you're using a pistol. What I learned to do eventually was like, because I was just going through ammunition very quickly, I would basically just like hit them with the plasmid and then just smack them in the face.
Yeah.
Or, or hit them with the plasmid, and then once they're still, I'll be like, oh, good, I can aim my gun and hit them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also, the plasmids are so fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's more creative to me. Like, anyone can play a shooter game.
Mm-hmm.
That's not why I'm playing this game.
Yeah.
I'm playing it to electrocute people.
They seem to put it in there as like, well, I guess we could add that too. Another big conflict that the team ran into was the Little Sisters and how to extract the atom from them. In their first iterations, the sisters began as armored slugs and grew into Little Sisters. As a player, you would have to murder them in their state as a little girl. Well, it turns out the act of murdering little girls doesn't look too good for your game. There was an idea that you would fire a plasmid at them and the girl would start to reject the slug. The Big Daddy would see this as a sign of aggression, so then you would have to fight him while the girl was actively getting saved. There were multiple times where they thought about just cutting the Little Sisters out of the game entirely.
Wow.
Yeah. Part of the issue was the player would get a greater reward for killing the sister rather than saving them. 2K wouldn't allow this to happen because there was major issues with the ratings boards, and the creatives on the team was worried about their public perception. They eventually came up with the decision that you would defeat the Big Daddy first, and then you are presented with the question of if you should save or harvest the girl. Harvesting will kill the girl and give you more atom immediately.
Yeah, it will.
And lead to a less pleasant ending for your character. But if you save the girl, you get less atom at first, but the gift that they leave behind gives you more atom eventually and other perks. Plus, the decision leads to the happy ending.
Fascinating.
Yeah. There was also a major redesign in the Big Daddies because originally they were in wheelchairs. I'm not really sure fully how that would have worked. Also, I mean, considering how large they were, I'm guessing they would have been like big wheels that can kind of like go over and crush anything.
I'm assuming like that, and it's like faster, and like that all makes sense. Mm-hmm. To me, it's so iconic in my mind that I can't imagine anything else.
Right. It has become the staple look of BioShock. In fact, the Big Daddy is like the mascot of BioShock.
It's funny because we're talking about them, and I'm like, you are faced with so many splicers. But I don't really think about the splicers when I think about playing the game. I think about how hard it was to defeat the first Big Daddy and be like, how do I figure out these mechanics? And also with my reaction harvested. I've only ever finished one once because I started it, something happened, and then I had to restart it. And I was just like, okay, cool, I want to finish this.
But you're not really understanding the consequences of your actions right away. Because when you...
Right, which is why that game is great, because you can play it more than once.
And then you realize, oh, I was actually given a moral dilemma.
Whoopsie doodle.
Yeah. Harvesting is not what you think it means. It kills him. Towards the last months of the game development, the workload just became too much and soon became mandatory for the team to work 6 days a week. And as the deadline was growing closer, it then changed to 7 days.
Only 6 days? Oh, 7 days. There it is.
Yep. The team did find some relief when they were given 3 extra months and a new deadline to really polish the game. The rift between Levine and Hellquest increased, to the point where Hellquest was left out of major meetings towards the end of the production. Paul was deemed non-critical in the decision-making process. The way Ken was running things led to LeBrayton leaving the project. Hellquest would channel his frustrations into improving parts of the games that he could control, like the medical pavilion, and 2 months after BioShock's completion, he left Irrational Games. In January 2007, they had the game play-tested. The testers spoke candidly about the game without knowing that the team and Ken could listen to every single word that they were saying.
I've seen this episode of Hacks.
Yeah. They got feedback stating that the game was too dark. They were confused as to where to go. There was too much loot to collect. They didn't trust Atlas. And the one tester was confused about the story to later find out that he didn't even realize that he was in a city underwater.
What? How do you not? Maybe the little elevator thing.
Maybe you didn't catch that part.
You have to use it so much, though.
I know. The team wasn't sure what to do with this criticism. They only had a few months to not only complete the game, but to make the changes necessary to make the game more appealable to the masses. The designers, instead of listening to the feedback, criticized the testers, saying in so many words that they were too stupid to understand the game.
I enjoy BioShock. I do. The reason I have not gone back and played it again is because there is a lot of crap to collect. The map is kind of confusing sometimes.
It is.
I like that it's not spoon-fed to me, but I agree with all those criticisms. Except the water one. That's really obvious.
Yeah. LeBrayton took the criticism differently, stating, "If they didn't understand something, my first instincts should be to figure out how to make it clearer without making it worse. Sometimes player entitlement is unpleasant. Sometimes critique is unfocused. There's almost always truth hidden in it, though." The art team redesigned the lighting to make the world less murky. They reworked the controls and the user interface. They added a quest arrow to direct the player. Mm-hmm. And Atlas was recast as an Irishman.
I don't know how you survived that plane crash, but I've never been one to question Providence. I'm Atlas, and I aim to keep you alive. Now keep on moving. We're going to have to get you to higher ground.
And an intro, and the intro made it more obvious that the world takes place under the sea. BioShock was released on August 21st, 2007, and it was a hit. It was received positively, and it was a financial success. But the team was broken. Levine talked about when the game was over, it was almost like a postpartum depression. So much of his time was spent on the game, and all of a sudden, it was gone. He wasn't sure what to do with himself. For the other team members, they left either to start their own studios or work for someone else. At the time, Ken Levine said that he wasn't interested in making a sequel to BioShock, since a lot of what he wanted to do and say, he put into the initial BioShock game. We know now, from the multiple sequels and the long-awaited BioShock 4, that this is not true, even if Levine meant it at the time.
One day.
So BioShock was revolutionary. This was not a turn-off-your-brain-first shooter.
Sure isn't.
The story and the characters were complicated. The main character had to deal with moral dilemmas. The setting was gorgeous and creepy.
It's my aesthetic. It's gorgeous and creepy.
Of course, this would be perfect to turn into a film. And that's what was going to happen. And in 2008, it was announced that Take-Two Interactive, remember the parent company of 2K Games, and Universal Studios signed a deal to turn the game into a movie.
Universal Studios is the studio to make that.
Now, do you remember who was going to direct it?
This comes up every 3 to 5 years. It's we're going to make a BioShock. I'm pretty sure there's rumors of one currently as we sit here. Mm-hmm. So I can't keep up with it.
So at the time, they signed on Gore Verbinski to direct and John Logan to pen the script. Now, Verbinski, if you don't know, he directed one of my favorite horror films, The Ring.
The Ring is one of your favorite horror films?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was one of those pivotal horror films that really got me into the genre. And I think that's why I like it so much. Not saying it's the greatest.
You can. You're allowed.
But I'm saying it's what got me there.
I just was surprised of all of the movies I've seen you watch over the years.
Verbinski had completed his run with the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. And Logan was known for, at the time, for writing Any Given Sunday, Gladiator, The Last Samurai, The Aviator, and adapting Sweeney Todd. Alas, my arm is complete. Keep in mind, this is 3 years after Universal and Fox agreed to put together another video game movie. Do you remember which one they were almost going to put together? We mentioned it before.
Portals? Or no, Borderland?
It was Halo.
Oh.
And that fell apart. And surely, this wasn't going to happen again.
No. We always learn from our mistakes in this industry.
Yeah. From Verbinski, quote, "I think the whole Utopia Gone Wrong story that's cleverly unveiled to players is just brimming with cinematic potential. Of all the games I've played, this is one I felt has a really strong narrative. The deal was put together by Strauss Zelnick. At the time, he was Take-Two's executive chairman, and prior to was the president and COO of 20th Century Fox in the early 90s. He was the one to make sure that he was the liaison between Take-Two and Universal Studios. In other words, he didn't want a producer. Quote, one of the things we decided early on was that we didn't want to go through a producer. It's terribly important to us to have a meaningful influence on how this project is produced. We didn't want any insulation between us.
Fascinating. Hey,
Yeah.
folks, hire a producer.
Why? What does a producer do? They clearly...
Everything. We crap on producers so hard, and we say that, like, oh, they're always like the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They're only the problem because they're doing 87 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want a producer. How do you plan on making your movie without a producer?
Well, since there wasn't a producer, no one was really there to tell Gore Verbinski no, because he wanted two things to make this movie. He wanted
$1 billion.
pretty close. He wanted a $200 million budget, and it needed to be an R-rated movie.
No, 200 million is a hard no, mister. But considering what, Odyssey was 250 million?
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You're not shooting on an IMAX. How do you make BioShock without an R rating? Like, to me,
I
that
don't think
just
you can.
that seems stupid to be like, could you make it PG-13?
I will say that this is before the high-budget R-rated movies really were proved to be successful. This is long before Deadpool came out and showed that you could actually do something like that. Before we get into the script, I just want to jump ahead for a little bit just to give an idea of like who would have possibly be cast in the role. So in
Ryan Gosling. Sorry.
put a pin in that one.
I was making a joke. Okay.
In 2021, it was an interview with Eddie Redmayne. He admitted that he was in the role for the main character, Jack, but there was an issue. He had to compete with his roommate at the time, who was also an actor. His roommate was Jamie Dornan.
Oh, I would have loved this movie so deeply. I'm so ashamed at the noise I just made. Everyone out there is going to say that I love Jamie Dornan because of 50 Shades of Grey. And guess what? That is untrue.
No, it is Bourbon Star.
I mean, a little bit. I love Jamie Dornan because he was the huntsman on Once Upon a Time.
This is 2008, considering. When did Once Upon a Time come out?
2012?
2011. You were pretty close. And then 50 Shades would have been further down the line. There was a 2014 interview with Woody Harrelson, who hinted in the interview that he might be taking the role of Bill McDonough. Let's get into the movie. This is BioShock, written by John Logan. We open on a college graduation ceremony in the 1960s. Panning through a crowd of happy faces, we zoom in on Jack, who is doubtful, disconnected, unsure, and tense. I'm
going to picture Jamie Dornan as we go through this.
I know, that's why I put it in the beginning. I didn't want to wait till the end to be like, who's this faceless person? And instead you're just like, oh, Dornan.
Yep. I'm having a great time. Carry on.
Mm-hmm. He looks around and sees his dad, using an old movie camera, along with his mom and his Aunt Doreen. Cut to Jack at his graduation party in the backyard of a mid-century modern house with a pool. His parents are entertaining guests while Aunt Doreen is talking at Jack. His dog, a Dachshund named Rusty, sniffs at his feet.
Well
what
done.
Are the chances?
You can't even see it on camera, but Bing has nestled and is sniffing Dan's feet as he
This
talks.
is amazing. Good boy, Rusty.
Can't even train you that well.
Jack notices something catching the light at the bottom of the pool. He stares at it, and Rusty barks at it. The scene ends without anyone knowing what this is. Cut to Jack getting shown around his new job by his father, who has worked there for years, at a place generically known as The Firm. The office is uninspiring and Kafkaesque. His dad shows him a ring on his finger, a ring Jack used to play with as a child, saying that he could earn one of these after working here for 10 years. Jack is shown his cubicle, and to him, it looks like a prison cell.
Yeah, I get it.
Cut to Jack running through an airport and barely making it to his Pan Am jet just before it takes off. With him is a wrapped birthday gift from his mom. In a conversation with a stewardess, we find out Jack is heading to Barcelona for no particular reason. He saw it on a postcard and it just stuck with him. He just needs to get away from the monotony. As Jack reads his birthday card from his mom, we enter a flashback where Jack's father is congratulating Jack at a dinner party. Suddenly, everything around Jack begins to shake violently, but no one else seems to be reacting. Tornado winds pick up and the room floods with water. Jack wakes up underwater, and above him is the burning wreckage of the plane crash. Jack swims to the surface and gasps for air. In the distance, Jack notices a blinking light, and he swims towards it. It's a lighthouse. He manages to get out of the water and collapses at the base of the lighthouse. When he gets up, he checks himself, and he appears to be unharmed. He looks up the lighthouse, and it's a bizarre architecture. He finds the stairs and climbs up them. He enters into the bathysphere station, which is described in the script as a beautiful Art Deco dreamland. Sweeping walls, lush carpet, geometric lighting sconces, golden statuary of sleek, and a fascinating idealized figures. Jack proceeds down the elegant curvy stairways and stops when he sees a banner that reads, "No gods or kings, only man." We continue down the stairs, finds a bathysphere, and after assessing that it's safe, he steps in. So that whole scene from playing the game was ripped right out of the game and just put on the page. The door shuts and the bathysphere descends into the darkness. A 1950s TV flickers on and Andrew Ryan appears on screen.
Ayn Rand.
This is a quote from the script. Ryan is an imposing figure, an industrialist of unrivaled wealth and power, intense and focused, almost messianic in his confidence. The speech he gives is a speech ripped word for word from the game that introduces the underwater city of Rapture. Another voice hacks into the feed. It's Atlas, with his thick Irish accent, and he tells Jack not to believe Ryan, and that he's sending someone, and just stay where he is. The feed then cuts out when Atlas says, "Whatever you do, don't
feed them after midnight."
The bathysphere comes to a stop. Through the porthole, Jack sees a man dressed as an engineer approach. He says Atlas sent him and tells Jack to hit the decompression button. While he waits for the decompression sequence to process, Jack notices an unclear figure drop from the ceiling and brutally slashes and murders the engineer. Jack can only watch since the door will not open until the decompression is done. The door opens and the body is gone, but blood is everywhere. Jack hits the decompression button again, hoping that it'll close the door, but it doesn't. Jack carefully steps out of the bathysphere. He looks down a long, empty corridor and hesitantly asks, "Hello?" No response. All he can hear is a song in the distance. This is kind of weird, because it wasn't actually featured in the game, but it's the "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire" song, which I more associate with Fallout. Yeah, I don't think it's part of the... I could be wrong, but I don't think it's part...
It's not... I don't think they have, licensed music in the game, but there is definitely, a gramophone-type feeling of music playing in the background a lot.
Yeah.
For a movie, you're going to get more specific.
Yes. He hears the song, and he goes down the glass tunnel. In the distance is the glowing cityscape of Rapture. Jack is startled by a large shark that swims past the outside of the tunnel. The illusion of this place being an underwater dystopia is shattered when Jack notices how dirty the glass is, and he walks through puddles, trash, and debris. Jack sees a sign that reads haberdashery, dentistry, cosmetic, and a vending machine that's selling plasmids. The neon signs flicker and the pipes are leaking water. He spots an empty syringe gun on the ground. Rapture is in decay. Jack approaches the Fort Frolic nightclub.
God, this is bringing back so many memories. This really is the start of the game.
It really is, yeah. This is where the music is coming from. Jack looks around to see an abandoned party and a banner that reads, "Happy New Year, 1958. Jack encounters more syringe guns as he walks up to the phonograph. He lifts the needle and it's silence. Jack is suddenly aware that there is a man wearing a tuxedo sitting in the dark corner. He walks towards him, stepping on broken records. Getting closer, we see that the man is dead, and has been dead for years. The corpse is still wearing a party hat, and his pockets have been turned inside out as if he's been searched. In front of the man are Scrabble tiles that read, "Would you kindly?" Jack notices a rusty metal squeak in the distance, and he follows it down a long dark corridor. He sees a woman rocking a baby carriage. Jack asks, "Hello," and the woman stops rocking the squeaky carriage. He gets closer and closer. She turns around, and we see her. She's dreadfully pale with smeared makeup. She whispers, "They took my baby." In the carriage, we see a smear of dried blood. A monstrous figure called a splicer then attacks the woman from above and shreds her to pieces with her hook hands. Similar to what happened to the engineer, Jack is covered in blood. The splicer spins around, and Jack gets a good look at it. The figure is a barely human, mutated creature dressed in a tattered torch singer outfit. The splicer is about to attack until she's shot in the head. Jack turns around to see Atlas holding a gun.
Good old Atlas.
Atlas, in so many words, tells him to come with him if he wants to live. Jack says that he wants to leave, but Atlas warns him that he won't make it if he tries to leave. The two backtrack where Jack has been, and they stop in the tunnel leading to the bathysphere. Jack is insistent on going back against the advice of Atlas. Suddenly, the tail from the plane crashes into the glass tunnel, blocking the path to the bathysphere. Water floods the tunnel, and Atlas grabs Jack, and they both get to the end of the tunnel and hit the airlock button, and it seals the door, preventing the water from flooding in. Jack and Atlas walk through a strange, artificial, decaying park. Bodies are scattered about along the ammunition, weapons, and syringe guns. There's a billboard that reads, "Would you kindly enjoy Rhine Plasmids? Winter Blast, a fire at your fingertips." Atlas tells Jack that his family's at Neptune's Bounty. There's a sub almost ready to go, and that is the only way out. He also hands Jack a pistol, which he has no idea how to use it.
Hit him with it.
They spot a splicer dressed as a football player in the distance. Atlas leads him away from it. Atlas then points out the tower that Andrew Ryan presides over. Atlas quiets Jack when he notices a bride and groom splicer arguing. The bride then kills the groom with a gun. Another splicer dressed as a milkman attempts to search the corpse, but the bride spots him and they fight. Jack and Atlas run away. Jack and Atlas enter into a dilapidated auditorium. Atlas gives him more exposition, saying that those who were alive go crazy for this thing called Adam. Inside, they meet up with Sander Cohen, who is a flamboyant artist. Sander is asking Atlas if he has any umber so he can complete his painting. Atlas promises that he'll get it in the next shipment. Sander needs it to complete his masterpiece, and as he's being dismissed, he threatens to ring the bell. Atlas pleads with him not to. Sander notices Jack, and he tells him that he is the missing piece of the puzzle, and he is meant to be here. Sander goes ahead and rings the bell. Atlas quickly shoots Sander in the head, dead. Jack and the audience, we have no idea what is happening here. So Jack then looks up and sees the corpses nailed to the ceiling with a vacant spot in the center. Atlas tells Jack that the empty spot, that was for him. The sounds of the splicers are getting closer. Jack and Atlas run away. The splicers chase after Jack and Atlas. They run through the corridors. Atlas kills a few with his gun, and they enter the park. Jack tries the gun for the first time, and he misses a splicer.
Don't we all?
Yeah. The gun flies from his hand from the recoil. The noise catches the attention of the football player splicer, and he tackles Jack to the ground. The splicer then bites off Jack's ear just before Atlas shoots him in the head. Jack gets up, and he continues to run, but Jack is too slow. Atlas then finds a small storage room, and he locks them both in there. Atlas offers Jack a syringe gun filled with a bioluminescent blue liquid, which is known as Adam, stating that this is the only chance to survive to make it to Neptune's Bounty. Jack refuses, and to convince Jack, Atlas actually injects half of the Adam into his arm. Atlas transforms in front of Jack. His eyes flash, muscles vibrate, and his breath is raspier. Atlas tosses the syringe gun to Jack and says, "Would you kindly take the drug and get to Neptune's bounty. He opens the door and disappears into the splicers, fighting them off. A splicer gets into the room. Jack picks up the gun and fires repeatedly until it's empty. The splicer is dead, and Jack is out of bullets.
I thought this splicer was. I was like, yeah, this is pretty accurate for how the game goes.
More splicers enter, and Jack has no choice but to inject himself with the atom. The fluid flows into his body, and he can feel himself become more powerful. Time flashes as we get a glimpse of Jack fighting off the splicers. Time goes back to regular speed, and Jack is surrounded by dead splicers. A magician splicer tries to sneak up on him, and Jack instinctively shoots it dead. Jack is shocked with how easy it is for him to fight and fire a gun with great accuracy.
Must be nice.
Yep. Jack goes back through the park and is shooting down splicers with a Tommy gun. When the gun is out of bullets, he tosses it aside and grabs a wrench to beat down the splicers. Jack enters the corridor and leans against the wall as the drug wears off. He looks down to see an empty syringe gun. He then has a flashback to his graduation party. In the pool, that shiny thing in the water, that was the syringe gun. He flashes back to the self-aggrandizing moments. The woman saying, "They took my baby." The commencement speaker saying, "Fulfill your individual potential." Sanders saying, "You're the missing piece of the puzzle." And Ryan saying, "Rapture can become your city." We also get some flash-forward scenes. A chair in a ugly tiled room, restraints, a wall of photographs, surgery, 16mm film, electroshock.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
And we cut back to Jack just before he falls over and he blacks out. We see from Jack's point of view a haunting 7-year-old girl known as a little sister. She's singing a lullaby. We hear her say, "Oh, look, Mr. Bubbles, it's an angel." No, he's not an angel yet. The little sister then walks away. Following her is the loud, crashing footsteps of the Big Daddy.
Oh.
A monster inside an armored diving suit with a drill for an arm. In the distance, we hear Ryan's voice over the PA. Jack gets up, and he's in pain. His ear is gone. He sees a sign that reads Medical Pavilion. Ryan's speech continues, talking about down here, we are not slaves, but we are free men. Jack walks into the medical facility. He sees a dead body that's been searched through and finds some bullets, and he pockets it. He picks up a syringe gun, but it's empty. He finds some gauze and bandages his ear. Ahead is a glowing vending machine filled with syringe guns. He attempts to hack into it, but no luck. Ryan's speech continues, and he states the line, "No kings, no God, only man." Jack takes a chair and he smashes open the vending machine. All the syringes are empty. Ryan's speech is now directed at Jack. Quote, "Frustrating, isn't it? Sad to see you so desperate. I expected more from you, Jack." Jack looks around and he spots a tiny video camera and runs. It's no use. Ryan has the whole city bugged. He can't hide anywhere. Jack finds the body of a dead nurse and notices a puncture wound in her neck. Ryan, over the PA, is asking Jack if he's ever had the desire to be completely free. Ryan responds with, quote, "I used to." Jack asks Ryan how he knows his name, and then Jack finds a gun with 3 bullets left in it. Jack sees a camera, and he gets closer to it. And we cut to Ryan watching in a monitor.
Oh.
And he tells Jack that he's looking forward to meeting him. And Jack responds with, "Shooting the camera." We see a silhouette of Ryan. There's something autumnal about his figure. Jack spots a sign that reads Dr. Steinman's Aesthetic Ideals and finds a way to a decrepit operating room where he talks to Dr. Steinman, accompanied by a nurse. He asks where Neptune's bounty is, and the doctor seems to ignore the question and notices Jack's missing ear. He offers to fix it, but Jack declines. Steinman insists, saying that Jack is deformed. He's not perfect, and down here, we're all perfect. The doctor rifles through a variety of loose ears, offering them to Jack, and suddenly Steinman asks, "Atlas?" He stops insisting, and he says he doesn't do that kind of work anymore. He returns to his patient, and Jack leaves through the waiting room, walking past multiple butchered and stitched together people. He passes through a decaying nursery, and down the stairs, in the distance we hear the lullaby of a little sister. The little girl is extracting something from a dead body using a syringe gun. A large troglodyte splicer slowly approaches the girl and she screams. He tries to attack her with an axe, but the splicer is then attacked by a Big Daddy. For the final blow, he uses a drill hand to stab the splicer in the abdomen, and blood sprays everywhere. The little girl thanks Big Daddy, and she merrily skips away, and the Big Daddy follows with his thunderous footsteps. When the coast is clear, Jack runs over to the splicer's body and finds a sawed-off shotgun with shells and a bag of potato chips that he eats immediately.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm. Jack hears a noise and spins around, pointing the shotgun in the general direction. A timid voice comes out of the air grate. This is Rudy Pendergast. Editor Dan here. Unfortunately, that is the end of part 1 of BioShock. Be sure to come back for part 2, where you can find out more about Jack's adventure through Rapture and find out who is Rudy Pendergast. Let's go into our favorite time of...
Oh, crap, I forgot.
the episode.
Recommendations.
Our recommendations. What are you watching? What do you want to tell other people to watch? What are you judging people on not watching?
Do you have one?
I do.
Go, you go first.
Okay, so I want to do a short one because it is literally a short film. Came out in 2011, and it is called Portal No Escape. Yes, it is based on the Portal video game. It was directed by Dan Trachtenberg. Do you know who Dan Trachtenberg?
The name sounds really familiar.
He directed Prey, which is my favorite Predator movie. Also did the recent Predator movie, The Badlands. He also did 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I love 10 Cloverfield. Wait, with John Goodman?
Yes.
Also decent.
So yeah, he directed a short film a long time ago called Portal No Escape. I think it was just like a proof of concept type of short film to be like, if we make a Portal movie, this is what it's going to look like. Also, that is another one that we might cover later because J.J. Abrams was behind a Portal movie around the same time as BioShock and nothing came of it. So we'll figure that out. But my actual recommendation, because I noticed that it came up on Hulu, I saw this movie in theaters and it is hilarious. It is called Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
Fascinating.
It is a hilarious time travel movie about two guys who are simply trying to get a gig. I forget the name of the restaurant, but they're trying to get a gig at this restaurant and they try to like manifest it in some way and they accidentally stumble upon a time machine and they go back to 2009, I believe, and it's pretty great. I was happy to see it while it was in theaters, and I'm very happy to see that it is now on streaming, and it's one of those movies that like went very under the radar. One, it's a independent movie, but it is incredible. Definitely check it out if you can. It is on Hulu if you have it.
Fascinating. The big thing I saw this week was the Odyssey, which was fine. That doesn't need help. But I will say I saw it as Nolan intended.
On your phone? In
70mm IMAX in row E. Not the super front. And I gotta say, that cannot be how he intended it. It was quite blursula and very dark. So I've got some questions there. So I guess if you've seen it in digital or perhaps row H or even further back.
Or in 40X.
Oh my God, if you saw it in 40X, you lucky bastard. 6 is in theaters now, which I guess if I'm going on my trend of recommending musicals that are as intended seen on a silver screen. 6 is the Broadway musical about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. If you don't know that history, go see it. It's worth it. And I saw that in New York. It's very fun. It's not a like straight musical. So if you're like, I don't want that, it's set up more like a concert.
Okay.
But it's very fun and sassy, and it is a quick retelling of all of their lives and like how they were treated. And I think it's like 90 minutes, if that. So nice. It's a good pop reset. 6, go see it. Go support the arts. Because Hadestown did so well, it beat out Hamilton.
Damn.
I don't need 6 to beat out Hadestown.
But it needs to beat Hamilton.
I mean, it doesn't even need to beat Hamilton, but as long as we can keep hitting record box box offices. I get it. New York is hard to get to, as is London. Tickets are expensive. This makes it a lot more accessible. And I don't know the metrics of like where the money is going to, but I would hope that it's somehow being pumped into making more stage shows.
Yeah. Before we get into our plugs, the first plug that I actually want to put out there
Hair plugs.
is the guy who told me about this script. So the reason why I covered BioShock is because I ran into an old coworker of mine during the Hollywood Fringe Festival. His name is Logan. We used to work together at Warner Brothers as tour guides. And I believe he's still a tour guide, but at a different studio.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Logan, I do want to shout out that he does have his own podcast as well. It is called Scare Me Twice, a horror movie podcast.
What a brilliant title.
He goes through horror films with a guest. It's pretty great. If you want to follow Logan specifically, his handle is at FilmGuy1989.
Wonder what year he was born.
So check out his podcast, check out his socials. And then for us, check us out on all of the socials. We are at Development Purgatory. On Blue Sky, we are at Dev Purgatory. There we are putting out stuff that's related to the episode. For BioShock, there is a lot of concept art that is out there. So I'm going to be posting a lot about that. If you want to support our podcast, you can follow and subscribe to the show. You can rate and review us. And if you want to support us directly, you can go to our Patreon. Just search for Development Purgatory. That is about it. So go out and play some BioShock.
Listen, I have wanted to do a Little Sister Big Daddy costume for a long time.
I can't wait to dress up in a dress. Bye.
Bye.